Hey everyone, it's good to see you again. I'm Jamie Yukas.
And I'm Omar Villafranca. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is suggesting he's open to new laws requiring background checks on all gun buyers. Now, this comes in the aftermath of 3 mass shootings in the past 2 weeks that left 34 people dead.
McConnell has spent his career blocking reform to America's gun laws, but he says gun control legislation will be on the table after the senator's August recess. Democrats say that's not soon enough. Ben Tracy's at the White House.
Public pressure for gun control legislation is not letting up. On Thursday, it could be seen in Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell's hometown.
We want a background check on every gun sale.
McConnell says he will not be intimidated by protests, but in a rare move did say he is open to background check legislation.
When we get back, hopefully be able to come together and actually pass something.
Republicans want to do it and Democrats want to do it.
On Wednesday, when President Trump visited the cities reeling from the nation's latest mass shootings, he also spoke on the phone several times with Wayne LaPierre, the head of the National Rifle Association. The NRA does not seem to like what the president has been saying.
I'm looking to do background checks. I think background checks are important.
In a statement Thursday, LaPierre said the NRA opposes any legislation that unfairly infringes upon the rights of law-abiding citizens and called gun control proposals currently being floated soundbite solutions.
Half of you are so afraid of the NRA.
The president has sometimes chided his own party about their loyalty to the NRA.
If they're not with you, we have to fight them every once in a while. That's okay.
After the Parkland shooting, the president promised tougher background checks, but then sided with the NRA.
I promise to defend the Second Amendment rights of every American, and I always will. I'll never let you down.
Ben Tracy now joins us from the White House. Ben, we just heard what the president said there, but yesterday House Speaker Nancy Pelosi asked President Trump to use his constitutional authority to get the Senate back into session immediately. When you hear the statements made earlier and now this, how likely is that to happen?
It's very unlikely to happen, and it's unlikely for 2 reasons. One, Senate Republican leader Mitch McConnell does not want it to happen. So for that reason alone, the president is unlikely to do that. And the reason McConnell doesn't want that to happen is because right now there is no agreement on any sort of bipartisan gun reform legislation that could actually pass. So the thought is wait until after the recess, hammer some things out at the staff level between now and then see where both parties are at come September.
And Ben, we heard in your piece the president spoke on the phone with NRA's chief executive Wayne LaPierre this week. Are we hearing anything about their conversation?
Well, neither the NRA nor the White House is saying exactly what they talked about, but we do know that on the very day the president was traveling in Dayton and in El Paso, that he spoke with LaPierre several times on the phone. And this came after the president very publicly said that he wants to do something on background checks, that he wants very strong background checks. That is not something the NRA has ever supported or wants. And the NRA has now put out statements saying that these are soundbite solutions and they want to do something that actually prevents these tragedies from happening, but of course they don't say exactly what that is. I will tell you the president just tweeted and said that he is speaking to the NRA and others so that their very strong views can be fully represented and respected. So that gives you some sense that the president might not be willing to go toe-to-toe with the NRA if they are very opposed to some of these measures.
Sounds like we're going back and forth just a little bit here in conversation. Another headline, Ben, the Office of the Director of National Intelligence losing a second top leader next week. Deputy Director Sue Gordon announced she'll be leaving on August 15th. That's the same day as Director of National Intelligence Dan Coats. Do we know why she's resigning?
Well, you know, lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are saying this is a big loss. She has decades in the intelligence community, but the reason she is resigning is because it was becoming increasingly clear she was not going to get the top job, that the president did not want to put her in that position. In her resignation letter, she actually said she was doing this out of patriotism and not preference, and that the president should have his own team. So you don't need to read between the lines there too much to figure out what went on. It should be noted that even the president's son, Donald Trump Jr., had tweeted about her last week in not so flattering terms. So this is obviously the message was conveyed that she was not going to get this job, and she decided to resign rather than be fired.
And this news came at the same time the president announced he'll be naming Joseph Maguire as the acting director of national intelligence. Can you tell us a little bit about him?
Well, he is respected on both sides of the aisle as well. He is currently the director of the National Counterterrorism Center. In this new role, if he is confirmed by the Senate, he will head up all 17 spy agencies of the U.S. government. And you are hearing now from Republicans and Democrats saying this is a pretty good choice. And I think that's likely because the original choice the president made of House Republican John Ratcliffe was not viewed by either side on Capitol Hill as a good choice. He was viewed as somebody who was very partisan, not very well prepared for this kind of role. So I think there is some relief that somebody who is already in the intelligence community is being nominated for what is a very crucial position in the government.
Yeah, definitely. Well, finally, Ben, House Judiciary Committee Chairman Jerry Nadler said publicly yesterday that his panel is conducting an impeachment inquiry into the president. What can you tell us about that and what comes next?
Well, this is getting a lot of attention because it's the first time he has said this publicly on camera. So it kind of feels like an escalation of the impeachment talk on Capitol Hill. But we should keep in mind this is pretty much what they have said the Democrats have said in court filings, that they are looking at impeachment. What he has said in terms of what comes next is that by the end of the year, his committee will decide, they will vote on whether or not they want to refer articles of impeachment to the House floor.
All right. Ben Tracy, thanks so much for being with us.
Thanks.